is basically the two-step process. First, that you need to pass the examination. Now, this is one of the major step, which definitely you are getting. Okay, guys, please confirm you are able to see my whiteboard, right?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, great. So, wow, yeah. And the second step we have here, it means apart from passing the examination, the another important thing which we have to take care is to get endorsed, right? So what do you mean by endorsement? So here you need to prove that you have the necessary experience in the information security domains. Remember guys, in CISSP examination, there are total of 8 different domains we have. It means you will be tested against these 8 different domains only. Right? Now, what is this 8 domain and what are the content we have in this 8 domain? I will be covering soon. But one important thing that when you attempt the examination, when you pass the examination, after that, you need to prove your experience, right? You need to prove your experience in any 2 of the domain out of 8, right? Now remember, some of the domain is in the networking, some domain is in risk management side, some domain is in assessment side, some domain is in software development side. So IC Square also understand that none of the guy is actually mostly having all the experience. I mean, they might not have all the experience in different domains. Okay, but if you have experience in any 2 of the domain as well, okay, that is sufficient for getting the certification. So after passing the examination, you have to prove that you have the necessary experience in any 2 of the domain out of 8, which we will be discussing in our session. Right, and you will select what 2 domains you actually have the experience. Right, now this experience, this 2 domain experience, at least remember, if you have more than 2 domains experience available, that one too you can prove. But this experience total cumulative should be 5 years. It means at least they are looking for the 5 year of experience. But there is a possibility that you are missing by 1 year. In such case, you may get 1 year of waiver if you have some security certification. Like if you have CEH, if you have security analyst, if you have a networking certification as well. So there are some list of certification which is already published in the IC Square website. Okay, which you can use it as a reference, right? Which you can use it as a reference for doing the same. So you must have 5 years of experience. Out of 1 year of waiver you can get, and that to claim that waiver, definitely you have to uh, submit the information, necessary information through which you can say that yes, I have the necessary experience here, right? So that is all about the examination. So make sure that you first pass the examination, then you need to prove the experience in any 2 of the domain out of 8. Now what is those 8 domains and what exactly we have here? Now for that, you can also check the official documentation present on this IC Square website. In fact, let me show you the same. Now this is the official page. I have on my system, and let me share you this link as well, so you can also go through when you get some time. Okay. Now already mentioned what it is mentioned there what exactly the CISSP examination is all about. Okay, and these are the 8 domains I'm actually discussing about. Right. So we have first domain, security and risk management. Now this is one of the very important domain you all have, guys. Right. Now it is the first domain and very important domain. Maximum number of question is going to be asked from here only. But it is not only about the number of questions from this domain. It is the perspective which is bringing you here to understand how exactly you have to interpret any of the question. Right. Normally, whenever we select a control, now I'm just talking about from the practitioner side. If I'm the implementer, so from the practitioners, if you ask any question, you know which control to suggest, they will simply check the overall the outcome which a particular controller provide, and they will tell you the controls which is best fits that requirement, right? I mean, if I'm looking for intrusion prevention, simply a certain product might be suggested there. But what this product is bringing value to the organization, we might not be thinking about that. Okay, and what is the overall cost? Okay, is that cost is basically fitting my requirement? I mean, I may be losing $1,000 if I don't implement the control, and to to implement the control, I'm purchasing a control which might be costing me more than $3,000. So it doesn't make sense that I'm spending money more than what exactly I'm losing, right? So that cost and benefit analysis is actually one of the very important thing which we need to understand here, and definitely that is what the value this particular domain is actually going to brings in. So we need to change our perspective that when you're selecting a control, it is not only about the the end objective it is producing. Definitely that is one of the most important thing, but at the same time we have to understand that at the end of the day the funding will be done by the senior managements there. They will be actually accepting, but again you have to present the total business case that why exactly that control is required, what is the requirement of that control. These things you need to convey to them, right? And that is where this domain is going to comes into the picture. So coming to one more important thing, that for that I'm referencing the ISIS squared uh, book, and that is from CIBEX publication. Okay, cool. So as I told that there are some key things which we have to actually take care when we are going for the examination. Now some more important point, as I told that there are total of 8 domains we have, but when we are following up the CIBEX publication book, in CIBEX publication book is basically arranged in a different part. So when you follow the CIBEX publication book, the first 4 chapter, okay, is actually belongs to domain number first. So what is domain number first? It is the security and risk management. And in the security and risk management, the first 4 chapter actually belongs to the same. So chapter number 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? These are basically how exactly it is arranged. Similarly, when you are going for the asset security, which is the second domain, now for that we have only one chapter dedicated there. Okay, it means chapter number 5. When you go for the third domain, which is security architecture and engineering, now this is one of the longest domain we have, right? Now why I'm saying that there are lots of content we have here which needs to be digested, and one of the very important content from the examination perspective is the cryptography. Remember, cryptography is one of the major control nowadays we implement, not only in our traditional infrastructure but also in the cloud, right? So in the security architect and engineering domain, we will be discussing on the different set of encryption options. Then we will discuss the security model, and then we will be discussing on the physical security as well. There is one more important thing we have from the same domain, that is on the hardware security. I mean, talking about hard disk, RAM, ROM. So those needs to be also secured, right? So even that one too, we will be checking it out here. So we have the same domain. So we have security architect and engineering. This is the third domain. The fourth domain, which is on communication and network security. So I had seen that in this meeting, we have networking as more. So for you, this domain might not be that much of a tougher one, because it is very straightforward domain. And again, the kind of question they will ask you from the examination is also very much straightforward. Yes, but sometime you may need to decide the best option according to the scenario there. Okay. Now there are 2 chapters which is for the same in the CIBEX. So 5 chapters for the security architect and engineering in our book, 2 chapter for communication and network security. Next 2 chapter is on identity and access management. Again, important domain, because identity security is one of the important aspect of any of the organization. If I know I'm not able to secure the identity, definitely it is going to create a major issue for us here, right? Then we will be discussing on the security assessment and testing. Now this is the another key important domain we have, although we have only one chapter, but very importantly, that what are the tools we will be using for doing the assessment and testing when it comes to doing do the audit on the organization. So we may need to do the VAPT, vulnerability assessment and penetration testing. So in the vulnerability assessment, we are trying to find the vulnerabilities in the system. And in case of penetration testing, we will try to do the pen testing to check how much severe that vulnerability is for the organization. So that one we will try to understand and digest in our section here. Next domain. Now remember, security assessment and testing is having only one chapter in our CyBEX book. Next domain in security operation. Now security operation is the extension of the first domain only. So security and risk management, and the extension of the same domain is security operations. Now because it is the extension of the same domain, so instead of dedicating more time on the same is not going to be useful for us as well. To make sure that I'm discussing in one go, after this domain I will be going to start the security operations, which is the domain number 7. Having 4 chapters total of, and major discussion we will do here. One is security operations within organization, another is incident management, another is disaster recovery professionals. I mean, how do we do the disaster recovery, right? So these are some of the, and then there is one more chapter, and that is the ethics, which in the cybersecurity world we need to actually follow up, right? So these are some of the important point we will discuss. It means just after the security and risk management, I will discuss on the key incidents and the disaster recovery tools which is available around us. And finally, the last domain we have is software development security. Now 2 chapters here. Software development security will be discussing on the best practices which we need to follow to develop any application. So remember, here we are not going to focus on how do we develop the application, but we will try to discuss that whenever you develop any application, what are the major frameworks you need to implement and integrate there, right? Frameworks basically going to provide you the structure and guideline, right? So that is the important goal of any framework. It will provide you the structure and guideline to implement the control. So the same thing we will check. And then multiple different kind of risk which in your organization you may face there when you are developing any application. So even that control, so we'll also try to discuss here in the software development and security. So overall, this is what the 8 domains we have, which we will be discussing in our CISSP, right? And one important thing, because there are lots of content in the book, so I will be discussing about some of the core component which you need to make sure that you are recognizing it for your examination preparation and definitely for your job role as well there. Okay. So any question, guys, for so far from this information what I have passed so far? Anything confusing from the examination point of view? Should I take it no confusion?
We have one question.
It's fine. You
It's
can go
nothing
to that.
related to the domain. So you said that after the pass the exam and we need to prove our experience of how we need to submit it
Huh. So
our
that is the
experience or what is that, how it will be?
So yeah, great. So it's a valid question. Like if you pass the examination and if I need to prove the experience, okay, how exactly we can do that? I mean, what are the information we need to submit to IC squad so they understand that I have the necessary experience, right? So for that, see, there are 2 ways for that. First, if you know already some professional guys, I mean, let's suppose you know me, okay? So in such case, what you'll do, you will actually going to select me as your endorser, okay? In such case, you require my ISS square ID and my last name, right? So after giving that information, there is a tool available at ISS square portal, which is used to do the endorsement. Right? So in the ISS square portal, after the examination, that portal will be highlighted for you. You need to submit your necessary information, and when it comes to information, you can simply say that okay, I have the necessary experience, and for that these are the documentations which you can utilize. Like you can, on the first go, you can submit your CV as well. That is also enough for the same. But let's suppose that you can actually submit your the joining letters or the relieving letters from the previous organization. So even that one too can be utilized as a proof of evidence, right? So that one you can do. Otherwise, you just submit the CV, and might be to support that might be some additional information or the additional documentation you may submit it there. Now that one will go to your endorser after the submitting. Like let's suppose you had chosen me as endorser, so it will come to me. I will verify each of them, and for that might be I'm going to write mail to your employer. They will confirm via mail, and the same information I will be utilizing for completing your endorsement process. So after the verification, I will complete the endorsement. I will submit my report to IC Square, and IC Square will publish the certification for you. Now, if you don't know any professional guy, in such case, you can directly reach to IC Square as well, and you can tell them to do the endorsement. Right? So in such case, if you don't know any guy, and in such case, IC Square will do the further investigation against your profile. Now, even if you know any professional guy and you had told them to do the endorsement for you, there is a possibility that your profile got randomly selected for the further investigation. Now, again, it is not happening so frequently, but there is a chance that your profile has selected randomly as a for the further auditing. And in such case, ISS Square will do the audit against your profile, will verify, and then only they will issue the certification. So this is how exactly it works. So coming to your question, a normal CV can also help, where you can actually list all of your experience and against which domain you are actually proving your experience. Even if you can provide this information, that is also very useful. I hope you got the answer.
Yes, thank
Also,
you.
just to add to that, I know that if you pass the exam,
Mhm.
you can. Do they give you 6 years? To if you've not got the experience, they give you 6 years to build the experience after the exam and submit within
Correct.
that 6 years.
Yes. So even if you don't have the experience, in such case, what will happen? Then you can actually first go for the associate certification. So remember, there are two certification we have here: associate level and professional level. Professional you have to prove your experience, but in case of associate you don't. So if you're going for associate level, it means you already know that you don't have any experience for now, and in such case IC Square will provide you total of 6 years to gain the necessary experience. Okay, so you come after 6 years, provide the necessary information to IC Square, and then they will issue the certification to you as well. But for that, if you don't have the experience, it means if you're not looking for professional certification. But remember, mostly organizations are looking for professional guys there. Specifically, if you're looking to join some organization based on your uh, you're trying to switch to some organization. In such case, definitely you may require the professional certification. Otherwise, you can apply for associate certification as well. Okay. Okay, cool. So any further question, guys, if you have?
Yes, I do on a related subject, I believe, right? The Cybex book is like 1,100 pages. So I'm not sure, or maybe I need to ask you. Over the course of the training, will you give us areas or chapters within the book that we need to read, or we need to read the book end to end, basically? That's my question.
No, definitely. So no, it doesn't require, doesn't make sense to actually to read entire book. But yes, some of the core point which we need to focus on, I will be focusing on for each of the domains. So when I will start the discussion, I will let you know that what are the area you need to focus on when it comes to examination. Plus, there are some key questions I have from the recently asked examination. So definitely that one will also help you to understand the pattern of the question, and it will help you to appear in the examination as well. Okay. But
Um,
if you
with
had you deciding to go through the entire book, even that one too is very good, means option. It will definitely help you to improve your knowledge and skills in the cyber security. I mean, that is also not a big you know, not a bad deal. Yeah.
Also, if you there's a package on Amazon at the minute. If you get that reference book and the official exam guide, the exam preparation book, which is really good actually. The you get
Which one?
access the official IC squared exam preparation one. There's this cyber book of knowledge and there's an exam prep book. Um, if you get that one, it gives you, I think it's not a lot. It's like $50. It gives you access to uh, the official IC squared exam dumps. So you get 900 questions, and you get pre-built flashcards as well. Uh, yeah, so that's definitely they're really useful study guides. You know.
Hmm. Okay, so that is okay. Means it's totally your call whether you want to purchase any material, books or something like that. It's totally your call. But I will not suggest you to purchase anything, because see, the thing is, no any examination dumps will actually give you the guarantee, right? The only thing is I will recommend you to practice more and more. So I will give you the sufficient number of questions which will help you to prepare the examination. So if you are looking for only 1,000 questions, even that one too I can provide you. But if you're looking for more than 1,000 questions, even that one too I will provide you, which will definitely help you to prepare for the examination there. Now there is a website also. So after completing few sessions, I will recommend you to go to that website. Although it is a paid website, but again the cost is very minimal. It is $7 only, and you will get the lifetime membership of that website. Now the good thing with that the website is they the professionals like us is actually actively participating in the questions there. So let's suppose I done the question, and there's some question in my mind I have. I actually participate and post the questions there only, right? And that same, and because of that, now the number of questions which I had seen last time in that list is more than 2,000. And again, believe me guys, the questions are very much accurate because they actually came in the examination. I had actually seen many of my participant has actually taken the help of that website. The cool thing of that website is that it's not like some experts are actually giving the answer there. It is like us only participating, debating on the responses, and you might see that the highest number of people has given vote to a certain option there, and what was the reason, that that discussion also is there. So I will share you the link of that website. Definitely that website will help you. But apart from that, see, the 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 point is, even ISIS squad cannot provide you the official exam dumps, right? And that is one of the reason I'm saying that you may purchase, but may not be very much useful for you there, right? So it's totally your call if you wanted to go for the same. But I will provide you the sufficient number of questions, so I don't think it is actually required. Okay, coming to the examination questions there. So recently there are some changes happened there, guys. And after the changes, one important thing which you need to understand that Now the examination duration, previously it was actually of 3-hour examination. Now let me just show you that. So previously it was for the 3-hour examination. Now it has been actually increased to 4-hour, right? So length of examination is now is 4-hour. And the number of questions you will be facing in the examination is minimum 125, right, and maximum 175. So there is a possibility that you attempted 125 question and you got necessary 700 points to pass the examination. You don't need to actually proceed further, right? And in that case, examination stop, and you may take your response from the examination center. So remember, in the screen they don't show any result. You have to get the printed paper after the examination, and there only they had declared your outcome. Okay, so in minimum number of question 125 you may pass the examination, or there might be a possibility that you may reach up to 175, and if you get the 70%, then you will pass the examination. I mean, total of 700 points you have to obtain to pass the examination. So minimum number of questions is you are going to face is 125, and maximum number of questions you will be facing is 175. There is a possibility that your examination will stop at 125, or there is a possibility that your examination is stop in between 125 to 175 as well, right? But remember one important thing: if your examination stop in between or at 125, it not always mean that you pass the examination. There is a possibility that you may not able to succeed the examination, and you may have to work hard. Means some of the domain you may have to work hard there, right? So in such case, that information will be printed onto the paper. You can see that in which domain you need to work hard, and get the examination result after that. So over and all, previously the number of questions was 150 maximum, but now it has increased to 175. Previously the number of duration was 3 hour, but now it is moved to 4 hour of examination there. So I believe they had actually increased 25 question, and for that they had provided you 1 more hour, so that is sufficiently enough. But the only thing is this duration, that 4 hour of sitting is actually going to be problematic. You may take some break as well in between. So again, definitely it is the testing center who can actually allow you for the same. Now this is the domain list, and I already told that maximum of questions you will be getting it from the first domain itself, security and risk management. So 15% of the weightage is actually there from the first domain. But apart from that, we have other domains, and you can see some equivalence here with architecture, engineering, communication, and network security, and IAM. It means if these 4 domain and including security operations is good, so if you're good in that, so maximum of chances are that you will definitely pass the examination there. And because of the weightage, I'm actually saying. But apart from that, SS security is having 10% of the domain weightage, 12% of the weightage is on the assessment and testing, right? And then another one is the software development security, 11% of the weightage for the examination, right? So this is about the weightage, and you have to actually create a strategy that which strategy you will be selecting for cracking the examination. You might be going with the weightage itself, 15% of the weightage. That one too is not a bad idea. You can actually select the same for your preparation, right? Another thing is CISSP recently, for the ICS score I'm talking about, recently they started with one uh, online based examination as well. And apart from that, if you are a non-English user, so remember this is basically for the English users. So if you are giving examination in English language, in such case this duration is. But if you are a non-English user and if you're trying to do the examination there, or if you are trying to attempt the examination online. Now remember, online examination is not easily available. I mean, it is not frequently available, not easily, I can say. So what do you mean by this frequently? Frequently means from the last 2 year I had seen, specifically because of this pandemic. So from the last 2 year, they started they started doing the testing of online examination. Means you can do your examination from your home as well. For that, you require a quiet room with a stable internet connection, and then you can do the examination. So if you're doing online or if you're a non-English user, in such case, this information is for you. So the examination length is going to be of 6 hours in such case, and the maximum number of items you will be facing is 250. Okay, and again, there is no any minimum. It means the examination will not stop in between. You have to attempt all the 250 questions within 6 hours, right? Again, it is going to be multiple choice question only. Some question you may get mix and match, where you may have to match the correct options in front of the correct, domain. And again, same 700 points you have to obtain out of 1000 points to pass the examination. This examination is available in Chinese, German, Korean, Japanese, and Spanish. So if you are the the native user for these languages, in such case, you can go for the 6 hour examination. Although I will not recommend, because it's actually sitting for 6 hour, even is actually going to create a very problem there. You may not able to concentrate for that much of duration. Okay. Now, if you see here that the weightage is same exactly, so there is no any such changes in the weightage. So the same information we can use it here as well. And then definitely the domain and the different information about the subject. Now that one I'm not going to take time here because we are all going to start the same, so it's not making sense to discuss the same. And you can download it and at your local system. I already provided you the link, so you download and just go through that, the kind of content you need to focus it on from the each of the domain there. Okay, great. So this is what the some of the limited information I need to pass before I start any of the domains. Very much useful for you, right? So now if you let's just let me know if you have any question from what we had discussed. Otherwise, I'm okay to start my first domain for the day. In the meantime, I'm actually going to transfer this meeting to my another device because I am actually facing slight issue with my new system here. So just in the meantime, guys, we can take a small break here of 10 minutes to refresh ourselves, so we can come back and start our discussion. So is it okay for you all?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Okay, great. So it's a 10 minute of break, guys. Let me just transfer the meeting on my another device quickly. Yeah, so I hope I'm still audible for you, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So now I'm actually in my another device. So guys, what I'll do, I'm going to share my screen for a break timer, or you can just start the break here. For the 10 minute, we will be taking a break here, and after that, we will start our first one here. So take a break of 10 minutes and then come back. Thanks, guys.
Hey guys, welcome back. I hope I'm audible for you all. Guys, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
Yes.
Okay, great. So let's move on and start our first domain there. Okay. Now, let me just share my slide as well here. Okay, so the first domain is on security and risk management. That is one of the first domain, and as I told you previously as well, that is one of the very important domain for our CISSP examination. And it will actually provide you the well foundation, specifically if you are new in the information security as well. Okay, so let's start. So there are some key things which we need to understand from this particular section and try to understand their total of 4 chapters which is accumulated in this domain. First is the governance through principle and policies. Second, post security and risk management, and this is where exactly we will try to understand how do we do the risk calculation. Third is the business continuity, and then the fourth we have is relevant law. Based on that, you have to actually go for the implementation of control. And as I told, that the same means after this domain, we will be starting the seventh domain, which is the extension of the same domain. Now, that we will discuss later, what exactly the part of it. But try to understand. And that is the same thing. So security governance through principle and policy. That is the first topic we will start today. Now, first thing, let me understand why exactly we require security. I mean, what is the need of security? There are multiple ways to interpret the security control and implementation of the security there. But what exactly we want from the security? Remember, there are different key pillars we have for the security, which definitely you are actually looking at. Right? Remember, securities is important. Definitely, security is important. As we may understand already based on that communication which we are doing on a daily basis, based on the things which we are doing on a daily basis. But like you must be receiving some mail, you must be sending some mail, you must be browsing the internet websites, right? So there are multiple activity nowadays we do. We order food, we order vehicle, we communicate. So actually we are surrounded with lots of different applications around us. There is complete chance that at some point of time we done some mistake. We had did some mistake, right? And that mistake is actually going to lead to the compromise of the sensitive information which belongs to us or might be belongs to the organization, right? See, at the end of the day, our objective from the security is basically to make sure that we create a secure environment where we can provide the proper privacy to our information. So at the end of the day, security is important because it will help you to ensure that you and the organization is able to you know do the business securely. Organization is able to exist and operate in case if any kind of threat, even if it is present in the environment. Remember, security, most of the time we are actually thinking about a kind of control which will help us to manage the risk. That is correct. Definitely security goal is basically to manage the risk. But try to understand that security should be viewed as an element of business management, not only an IT concern area, right? Yeah, definitely you are implementing security because you have some concerns related in IT, related to IT, right? And you want to tackle that concern area. Security is actually going to play their picture there only. So information security or security is basically one of the major element through which you are trying to enhance the overall operational activity of the organization by implementing necessary care on the core element of the organization. Right? To understand this relationship of the security and the kind of risk which we are trying to tackle here. So for that to understand, think about from the very beginning here, right? Why exactly we require security. So can I say that we require security because there are some critical asset we are preserving? Yes, can we say like that? So we have some critical asset in our organization, right? Or some asset in our organization which is helping your organization to progress, which is helping your organization to move on, right? And this could be anything, right? This could be an expensive server which you had purchased for the organization to implement. Like you might be offering web service, email service using the server. So this could be one of the asset. This asset could be some networking device like routers, some security device like firewalls, right? So that could be one of the asset for the organization. Or this could be one of the personnel in the organization, right? This personnel who's actually having good understanding how the server and router needs to be configured. So might be if he's not present today, I'm not able to manage these services properly for my organization. So can we say here now that for the asset, can we say that anything which is valuable for an organization or for the organization goal, that is the asset for the organization. So anything which is valuable for the organization goal, for the organization objective, is the asset for the organization. Now, problem here is that if you have some asset, that then not only you are interested to utilize that asset, your competitors, attackers are also interested to utilize these assets. But this time not to provide you the benefit, but to give you harm, to provide some damage. See, when you establish any, when you purchase such controls, when you purchase such assets, your objective is to achieve the goal of the organization on time, right? But what attacker will do, they will try to compromise this asset. So you may take some time to repair this asset, and in the meantime, your goal, the achievement of goal is actually going to be delayed, or it might be you're not able to achieve. Right? This is what the motive of attacker. And again, there could be different motive of the attacker. They could be funded by the different organization to just give you harm. Right? The attacker might be just here for the fun. So they might be experimenting some of their tools to check whether it is working or not. And in the meantime, your server is crashed. Right? So there could be anything. But what we need to understand that this asset can be compromised if this asset is having certain vulnerability. If this asset is having certain loophole, it means we need to check what exactly the loophole this asset is having, vulnerabilities this particular asset is having. Like we can simply take an example here. You might be using some operating system, right? Like it could be Windows based or Linux based, or it could be anything, right? So if you're using such operating system, there might be possibility that operating system is vulnerable for the virus attack, right? So why exactly it is vulnerable for the virus attack? Because it is not having any antivirus control available. They don't have any control available. And again, there could be something else as well, like it is sensitive and some files are actually is easy to grab the viruses and others. But all in all, we need to understand that a certain asset may have some vulnerability, and that is the reason attacker is able to compromise. Why attacker is able to compromise using this vulnerability? Because against this vulnerability, there are some codes available which will help attacker to take benefit of this vulnerability. That is actually called as exploit. So in a technical term, we use a term that is called exploit. So there's some piece of code available which will help you to take the benefit of vulnerability. And after taking the benefit of vulnerability, attacker will able to compromise or take control over your asset. Right? Think about a situation that your server is compromised because of the vulnerability. What they can do? So let's suppose this server is running with mail services. It means now your mail flow is compromised. And because of that, all messages attacker can see very easily. Definitely, it is one of the big risks because you might be sending some critical data about the organization. And if it is compromised, definitely it's a major risk. So there is an exploit which will take benefit of vulnerability, and then only the asset is going to be at risk. So it can be said that because of the vulnerability and exploit, asset is at risk. So yes, we can say. In fact, this is actually going to provide the definition of the risk itself. See, we are actually defining risk in a way like risk is the possibility of a certain event or of a certain exploit will be taking benefit of vulnerability, which will take them to control, take control over the asset. So we can simply define risk as a combination of vulnerability. And what is this exploit is all about? So this exploit is a piece of code, right? Which is written by some attacker or might be some user. So can we say that this piece of code is basically called, for me, it is a threat? Yes, it is a threat because if this piece of code available, then only attacker will take benefit of this vulnerability. So risk is basically defined as a combination of vulnerability and threat. That's it. That is the simple definition of the risk we generally utilize there. Otherwise, you can also use some long string of definition as well. Risk is the possibility of a certain event, taking control of the asset. Simple. So remember, risk is all about the possibility of a certain event, which will compromise your asset of the organization. But on a very simple note, we can define risk as the combination of vulnerability and threat. Now, eliminate any one of the component from there. Okay. So let's suppose that we have a vulnerability, but there is no any threat available. Right. So can my asset will be compromised? No, because to compromise the asset, not only the vulnerability is sufficient, but there should be something available so attacker can take benefit of that vulnerability. Right. Now, if it is not available, then attacker have to wait for that one to create first, to get created first, or attacker itself is going to create that. Definitely in both of the cases is going to take some time. Right. So this is the very important point which we need to understand, that risk is the combination of vulnerability and threat. But whether we need to take action now or I'm going to wait for some time, it totally depends on the impact of that particular vulnerability. So when we are actually using this risk here, there is one more combination, one more point we can actually combine here, and that is impact, right? Impact. So risk is the combination of vulnerability and threat, definitely. But if you combine here impact as well, so now impact is basically helping you to prioritize whether right now we need to take some action or this risk may wait for some time before we do something. I mean, before we implement any control. Now, why exactly? Because there is a complete possibility that you this risk is not severe for the organization, right? And if it is not severe, which is definitely I'm defining it through this impact term. So if it is not severe, then it might wait. Remember, we don't have all the money in the world for implement control, right? We have limited budget and we need to work around that budget only. I cannot spend all of my money just implementing the security control, right? So in such case, what we should do?